What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and break down some very important points that Elon Musk made during the Tesla shareholder meeting last week, and also very recently about the economy that's super important for all of us to know. I'm going to break down why it's very important, what he's saying, and how it could affect NIO, and what it tells us about NIO's future. Before I break anything down about what Elon Musk just said, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NEO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NEO share. The offer is almost over and ends in just about 4 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so what's going on with Elon Musk? What's going on with the markets? Well, zooming out, let's just first talk about NEO. You will notice that for the last year or so, NEO has just crashed and crashed and crashed, as have many small caps and medium caps and many stocks out there, right? And as you guys know, during like the 2020 to 2021 period, a lot of Americans and a lot of people had stimulus money, which they used to buy into many stocks. And we started to see the options chains play big roles in creating many short squeezes. With the amount of rallying that made its way through the markets, this helped NEO push up to almost $70 a share. And since then, it's been just continuing to decline and decline because of, first off, the market played a role in that, small caps played a role in that, and then on top of that, the current macroeconomic environment is playing a role in all of that. But the question is, when is NEO going to get a nice bounce and start returning? When is NEO going to make a comeback? And according to Elon Musk, it could take a while for that to really happen. I want you guys to just know that and be ready for that. But that does not mean it's the end of the world for NEO, because for NEO, many people could start dollar cost averaging into these shares and still get some crazy good returns once this thing does start to squeeze. And you just have to remain patient nonetheless. Now let's talk about some other things that are going on. So one of the things that the Fed members have said during the FOMC minutes is they're less confident on the need for more rate hikes, but they're not planning on cutting for quite a while. Now, this is oftentimes very different from what they're planning, because the Fed is not planning on cutting until 2024. But the bonds market is saying that the Fed will cut around like September or so. So that's important, because if the Fed is actually wrong and we do start to see these cuts, right, it's likely going to happen because of a black swan event or something that's just breaking in the economy. And if that's the case, there are things you have to know about this in more significance. Looking at the reverse repo market, it basically enables institutions to lend excessive money to the Fed while earning a predetermined rate. That's the overnight reverse repo. And on top of that, it gives banks more and more leverage and tells us more about what they're going to be doing during a time like this in a high lending environment. We saw a massive increase in the reverse repos in 2021 and 2022 as the lending increased, and we started to see more growth because of it. But something else that happens is the reverse repo could be part of an overly excessive liquidity system in the financial systems. And with all the growth coming, it's starting to be projected by the Fed that we're likely going to start to see a decline in this. And this will de incentivize more lending going forward. Americans have been borrowing tons of money. They're in so much credit card debt right now. And unfortunately, this money is going to be limited to them, because the credit card limits are coming. And that could lead to a big disaster for lots of Americans. So, are we about to see a credit crunch? It's a possibility. There will be more bankruptcies, of course. The credit crunch, there is some signals of it happening as credit conditions are tightening, and we're starting to see mortgage demands drop because of that. And on top of that, as a lot of Americans are just losing spending power on a daily basis because of inflation, things are still not in the best of places from a macroeconomic standpoint, right? Elon Musk is coming out and he's saying that the next 12 months will be challenging for Tesla and for many other entities and the banks. He has some negative views for them going forward. He didn't just say this during the meeting, he reiterated this during his CNBC interview not too long ago. And he did talk about it this week too. The same thing. Musk was saying that the Fed over tightened in his opinion. He could be right about that. And on top of that, we might start to see NIO experience more and more pain moving forward. Now, why is this happening? What's going on with this? NIO is basically in a position where they're getting in the middle of a macroeconomic, uh, I would say, like obstacle that's slowing them down. That's really the truth. And I know you don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. If you look at NIO's deliveries numbers, they weren't the best recently. And it's likely going to remain this way for a while. So I just want to warn you guys that there could be more pain for the share price of NIO alongside many other stocks out there for like the more medium term. Could the market bounce off like the debt ceiling limit being increased and things like that? Yes, it most definitely can. But if you look at Xbong after its earnings, it took a big hit because earnings were just not what was expected. And we just have to be careful, right? NIO is likely in a very similar state. And if NIO continues to see declines like this, yes, there could be pain for the next 12 months, right? We had 2022, which is when the Fed started raising rates. The stock market started to experience a lot of the pain, which contributed to NIO. On top of that, on top of the pain that came, we continued to see more and more tightening from the Fed and lots of recessionary fears. Now we're starting to see banks struggling as it's getting harder for them to lend money out. And then banks are, once again, they're not in the clear just yet. Okay, they're not in the clear. They're likely going to be more bank failures and just some risks of high inflation and just a lot of things like this, right? So with Elon Musk saying these things about how lots of companies are going to go bankrupt, I don't think NIO is going to go bankrupt. I'm just warning you guys that yes, the market could pump a little bit because the stock market is not a direct, reflection of the economy. The stock market could pump even during a recession, even during hard times. So what does this all mean in English? The stock market could hold up for a while. Sure, it can, thanks to the debt ceiling, thanks to people buying in and things like that. But what fueled it was strong earnings. Remember how Nvidia pumps so hard? Strong earnings for Nvidia. Like Microsoft, pretty decent earnings. Google did pretty well too. Amazon was in the middle, pretty good. Apple did relatively well. Tesla had decent earnings. I wouldn't say they were too strong or too weak. Pretty good. So the point I'm trying to make is a lot of these companies have strong earnings still. We're not seeing real pain for the earnings. So in the future, there still could be more pain for the stock market. Okay? Especially by Q3 of this year later on, if there is more pain for the earnings. And we could still see some negative catalysts for the stock market. This will affect NIO, as Elon Musk is saying. NIO, the low NIO is going to make for the year may not be in yet. Could NIO bounce for the short term? Sure. But as you could tell, we're no longer in the 10s or the 20s or the 15s. We're just continuing to decline. It is not the end of the world, however, because even as NIO continues to drop, I don't think NIO is going to go bankrupt. I don't think NIO is dead. I think NIO will continue to make deliveries. It's going to be tougher for them for the next, many months, but I'm very confident that as long as they prevail, as long as they hold, demand will make its way back up, especially because of the new models that are coming out, and NIO will make its way back for a comeback. Remember when Tesla was trying to survive in 2008 and during many hardships? Tesla went through hardships too. It almost went bankrupt. It struggled, but Tesla made a comeback. And I believe NIO has the potential to do the same thing. I'm very bullish on NIO, like I said, for the long term, but the company is going to need some patience from its investors. Yes, I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm just warning you about what Elon Musk is saying because there is the risk of a credit crunch again in the economy. And this will have a negative effect on the whole markets, including NIO. For the short term, yes, maybe NIO pumps with the mark because of like the debt ceiling being raised and stuff like that. For the medium term, there could be more downside as we approach Q3 and Q4 of this year if the earnings start to decline. Even it's also going to depend on NIO's earnings. I mean, NIO did not have the strongest deliveries for Q2. So not Q2, sorry, for Q1. So we'll just have to wait and see how things go during earnings. Even if NIO falls, I believe there are going to be lots of buyers at these low levels. They're going to start accumulating these shares down here. And eventually, in a flash, as years pass, it's going to break all-time highs again. And crazy money could still be made on this stock. It's just a game of patience. Uh, Elon Musk is telling the truth, and we're just going to have to be keeping our heads together, remain as calm as possible, and do what you deem is best. Because if you're willing to hold NIO for the long term, you are in for a big win, in my opinion. But if you're here for just the short term gains, it may not be the easiest way to win. NIO still has a lot of time before the real growth comes, but we're still here together and we have to be patient. That's the bottom line. Now, I'm not saying NIO is going to stay at 7. It could push back to like the 8 or 9s, but you have to remember what my point is. It's still at a very low level compared to all time highs, but it will break all time highs again. It's just a matter of patience. Thank you all for listening. I hope this was all very clear about the macroeconomic environment. With credit, I wanted to break down some points Elon Musk made, which he has good points, and they're very, very important for us to know. So please, I just want to thank you all for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Market to the moon, NIO to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.